What's up, guys? I'm BTC. Welcome back to the Respawn, a weekly series where I answer your questions. Let's get started. How would you balance Sigma without nerfing him into the ground or buffing him too much? One of the things that I've said about the character for quite a while is I think he can just do too much. And when you combine the kinetic grasp and the barrier shield, it's just too much. And what Blizzard has been doing is constantly nerfing both of these abilities again and again and again. So neither one of them can really be any good. They both need to be mediocre. And what I think they need to do is focus on one or the other. And because they're trying to get rid of barriers in general, or just weaken them and kind of lessen the effect that they have on the game, it might be a good idea for them to just get rid of his barrier and instead to improve the kinetic grasp in some other way. Make that his primary defensive ability, and then give him something else for a secondary. Now, that projected barrier he has is a pretty cool ability. Maybe they could give it to another character. I think originally they had planned on giving it to Maga, but they ended up kind of changing a whole bunch of stuff during the creation process, and they ended up giving it to Sigma. But ultimately, I just think it boils down to the fact that he has both kinetic grasp and the barrier at the same time, and really he just needs one or the other. Is Zenyatta a good pick right now? It depends on what your rank is. If you're diamond and above in the upper bracket, then he's pretty decent. If you're platinum and below in the lower bracket, not so much. The thing about Zenyatta is he doesn't really have a lot of healing output. Instead, he provides other things, which most notably is the Discord, which provides that extra damage boost to your teammates. But he also has the ability to put out a pretty good amount of damage himself. But in order to do that, you have to have very, very good accuracy, and that's something you're going to see from players in the upper bracket and not really from players in the lower bracket. Also, in the lower bracket, players tend to have bad positioning, and they're just going to be out in the open more. They're not going to be using cover as much as they should be, so they're going to take a lot more damage, and you need a lot more of that high-impact, burst healing type stuff in order to keep your teammates alive, and that's just not something that you're really going to get from Zenyatta. So if you're playing the character, again, upper bracket, pretty solid, lower bracket, not so much. Also, I do want to point out that Brigitte, after her most recent nerfs, is now the least played support in the entire game by quite a bit across all the ranks. From Bronze all the way up to GM, Brigitte is now the lowest in the game. Will you upload more videos on Valorant? I'm not really sure. The thing is, I've got so much stuff going on, trying to keep track of everything that's happening in Overwatch, making videos for that. Plus, I have my second channel, which those videos take up a good amount of time to make because there's a ton of editing involved. Plus, I'm also writing books, several of them actually, and I just have so much stuff going on right now. I don't really have enough time to keep up with all the different changes and the meta and all that stuff of another game. So I would have liked to been able to do it, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to. Would a character heavily focused on AoE work? We already have that with healing from Brigitte and Lucio, but I'm guessing you're talking about damage. And I think it could work, but probably shouldn't be a DPS character. We do have stuff like Junkrat and Pharah, but the AoE on those attacks is really small. If you're talking about larger AoE attacks, then you would have to dramatically reduce the total amount of damage it does. As the effect gets bigger and bigger, you have to reduce the damage in order to balance it. So it probably wouldn't work on a DPS character, but you could probably get it to work on either a tank or a support. What do you think about turning the off tanks into main tanks? This is something that Blizzard just brought up recently as well, where they talked about the possibility of characters like Roadhog being changed to function more like Reinhardt, and that's what is being suggested with this question here. But Blizzard also brought up the possibility of the opposite, which is taking characters like Reinhardt and making them more like Roadhog. I think either of these two situations would be better than what we have now. I think it should go in one direction or the other. I don't think there should be this split where you have some tanks that are built for protecting the team, and then you have others that are really just glorified DPS with a lot of health. Basically, a bruiser is the more correct term than calling them an off-tank, but that's another discussion. I think there's pros and cons to both of the possible options, although I think that maybe I might lean a little bit more towards turning Reinhardt into Roadhog. I think the game would become a little bit faster pace. There would be less slowdown from just, having to uselessly attack a barrier over and over again. And it would just be more enjoyable for the tank players themselves, because rather than just, trying to hold the barriers, or rather than just kind of being in the way, if they get to participate more often, they get to deal damage more often, then that's going to be a more enjoyable experience, because right now, a lot of people simply don't like playing in the tank role. Do you think that global ultimates like Widows are a good idea? Sure, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be in the game, as long as it's not overused. You don't want a whole bunch of characters with global ultimates, but if only a few heroes have it, then I don't see an issue with that. One of the things, however, is I wouldn't want to see a global ultimate like what Zeus has from Dota 2, where when you use his ultimate, it just deals damage to everyone on the map, no matter where they are. I don't want to see stuff like that in Overwatch. It does work in Dota 2 just because of the way the game is, but there's enough of a difference where I don't think that sort of thing would be good at all in Overwatch. There are other types of global ultimates that certainly could work, and one of them I put on one of my hero concepts, Isaac. It's a support ultimate, and what it does is it will increase the speed that your teammates will regenerate their abilities. So they just get to use their abilities a little bit more often. You can see what the full ultimate ability does on the screen right here. If you want to learn more about this character, I'll put a link down below. But I think that global ultimates are fine. They're just pretty difficult to balance because you don't have to aim it. You don't have to kind of be near anybody. You just press the button and it works. And speaking of that, where did the hero concepts go? Those were my favorite videos in all of YouTube. Well, I'm glad you like them. They're super fun to make, but up until recently, I haven't really been able to put all of that stuff together. But now I have 5 concepts that are done, meaning I have all the artwork, I have all of the different abilities and all that stuff already done, and I'm going to be releasing them very soon. I'm hoping as early as next week. And then my plan is to release one every week or maybe every other week, because I've got a bunch of others that are continuing to be finished right now. So hopefully there should be a bunch more hero concepts very soon. If Blizzard offered you a job, would you take it? Honestly, I'm not sure. I know there's this long-running joke on my channel, which is the hashtag Blizzard hired BTC thing, but the reality is I would not be willing to move to California. I do not want to move there. It's just a terrible, terrible state to live in. I already live in Texas, which is the best state in the entire country. And when you talk about people that are moving around the country, one of the destinations where people are moving to is Texas. And one of the places that they're moving away from the most is California. People don't want to live there. And maybe if I was able to work remotely, then sure, but there's just no way that I would move to California. I don't think they would ever be willing to pay me enough to make me want to move to California. So. And that's going to be all the questions for this week. There is a brand new question card over on the community tab of my YouTube channel. So if there's something that you would like to know, you can leave your question there. Also, you can find every single previous question that has ever been asked in my Discord server. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to be commenter of the video, then leave yours, and while you're at it, ring the bell so you never miss a new video. Also, if you want to get some cool gear, join my Discord server, or follow me on social media, then check out the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.